You know, growing up, I saw all the adults around me just miserable. They had to get up early, go to a job that they hated, come back late, take care of some groceries, some more chores, and then because they would have no energy, all they would do is just drop down on the couch and watch TV for the rest of the day. They would work hard all year long just to get 2 weeks of vacation per year. And guess what they would do on their vacations? Watch TV all day and also sleep a lot because they were exhausted. And this is what most people's life looks like. They do that for 50 to 60 years straight. And then one day, they die. Growing up low income, I knew that I wanted to build a better life for myself. So I wanted to become rich because I thought if I have more money, then I will be free. So I decided to start to learn the secrets of the ultra wealthy because surely if I learned from them, then I could replicate their success and become rich myself. So you see, I spent countless hours watching YouTube videos on finances and reading so many books on money and on personal finances. I've read the general books like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, but I've also read very specific books. So in this video, my goal is to condense everything I've learned from all of those books and videos and courses and teach you what is actually going to help you to get rich. At least the thing that I can guarantee is that if you apply my advice, I don't see how you won't be making more money by the end of the year or even by the end of the quarter than you currently are. And if you think that you don't need to learn, that you already know everything, then click off this video because it's not going to help you. And that brings me to lesson number 1. You need to be very careful of the Dunning-Kruger effect. So what is this exactly? It means that the more you know about a specific subject, the more you realize you can always learn more. And in reality, you barely know anything because you understand that there is so much stuff to learn and we can always improve things, we can always make things better, that quite frankly, you would need thousands of lifetimes to know everything that there is to know on a specific topic. And even then, with thousands of lifetimes, I'm not even sure that you would get to know everything that there is to know on a specific topic, because what we think is true and accurate at a certain moment in time, usually we find out later on that there is a much better way to go about things. But you see, the opposite phenomenon also happens. The less you know about a specific subject, usually the more you think you know. And typically people overestimate, they way overestimate how much they know on a specific subject, and it's going to hold them back from actually getting results. Because if you think you know everything, you're not going to be receptive to the advice that others give you, especially people who have more experience than you in this specific field. So for that reason, be very careful of the Dunning-Kruger effect. And the simplest way that you can do that is to always be willing to learn. And you can learn from every situation and from every single person. You can either learn what to do from somebody who is successful, who's gotten the sort of results that you want to get, but at the same time, you can also learn what not to do from somebody who is not successful and who does not have the sort of life or results that you want for yourself. Now, this next advice comes directly from Jeff Bezos himself. So if we have something to learn from business, then surely it is from Jeff Bezos. After all, the guy is running one of the biggest companies in the world at the time I'm making this video, and he's a billionaire. I read the book called The Everything Store, and in it, the author describes the rise of Amazon, its beginnings, and what it is now. And one thing that really stuck with me, I think at some point there was a quote by Jeff Bezos himself, and he said that the reason, according to him, why Amazon was so successful, it was because they always focused on doing what's best for the customer, as opposed to focusing on what the competition is doing and trying to copy them or to beat them. Now, sometimes you'll hear me say that business is about beating other people, other businesses, because technically speaking, it makes sense. If you offer a better product or a better service than another business, you'll get the sale, you'll get the customers, and they won't. So in a way, yes, business is a competitive game, but at the same time, winners focus on winning and losers focus on winners. I've read this in the book Relentless by Tim Grover, the mentor of Michael Jordan. He explained that people were so fixated on what Michael was doing instead of focusing on their own game. And so because of it, they became distracted. They focused on the wrong thing. And when you are focusing on somebody else, on the competition, it can be somebody who's ahead of you. You're going to try to emulate that person, to copy what they're doing. But sometimes it's not always going to work out in your favor. Like, sure, you should copy successful people to replicate their success, but at the same time, you need to adapt things to your own situation. Because the thing that you need to realize, and we'll come back to this later, is that what gets you to level A, or let's say to $10,000 a month, it is not the same thing that is going to get you to $1 million a month. Just like in a video game, in life, and especially in business, there are many different levels. The same is true with exercising. You can be a beginner, a novice, intermediate, advanced, elite. So stop worrying about the competition. Like, I see this one big mistake that so many people make when they get started in business. They're going to go and take a look at what the competition is doing, what they're selling, what's their offer, and they're going to copy it. But in reality, they have no idea how successful that business is in the first place. They don't know if that offer is selling well. They don't know if the market has a need for it. So they're just going to copy it because somebody else is doing it. Like, I've seen so many people in the consulting industry, they copy somebody else's niche because they think, oh, if somebody else is doing it, then I should too because it must be working. Trust me, if this is the way that you approach things, if that's your reasoning behind why you choose a business, a niche, or an offer, most likely the outcome that you get is going to be very dissatisfying because you need to focus on the customer. Like, one of the main reasons why people fail in business is because they try to sell something that people have no need for. They just don't care. They don't want it. So focus on what the customer wants. And how do you figure out what they want? You go and you ask them, you reach reach out to people, to your target customer, and you ask them what they want. And if you provide it to them, believe me, you'll make a lot of money, because people are willing to pay for certain things, but for some other things, not really. And that's exactly why Amazon is this big company that it is today. Pretty much everybody uses Amazon on a weekly or even sometimes on a daily basis. They just ask themselves, what do people want? What would the customer like most? And obviously that's why they have free shipping or same-day delivery and things like that, because people want that. Now, something else that you need to understand is that marketing is actually more powerful than the quality of your products or services themselves. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the quality of what you offer, it doesn't matter, or I'm not saying by any means that you should offer something that has low value or that you don't really put much effort into improving for your customers, but the simple truth is that you could be offering the best product, the most helpful service in the world, but if people have no idea that your business, that your company, it exists, and that your service or product is available on the market, then no matter how good it is, no matter how many people it could help, if nobody knows it exists, you're not going to make any money. It's that simple. I have spoken personally with many business owners on Zoom meetings, on a one-on-one setting, and honestly, the people who never made any money, or they barely made any money, what I've noticed among all of them is that they reached out to very few people, like 5 to 20 per day, and they expected that with this little amount of volume, they would become successful at some point. Let me tell you one thing, volume negate luck. And what I mean by this is that the more you do, you increase your chances to get lucky as well. Now, you have to be careful, because you don't want to do too much, because if you do, you'll reach what we call the point of diminishing returns. It's when you actually do more, but it's not going to help you to get more. It's actually going to give you even worse results. So you need to do more, and at a certain point, it's going to give you more results. But if you go to that diminishing returns point, you'll get less results from doing more. So you need to find what's the sweet spot. Because while most people need to do more, for sure, there is such a thing as doing too much. But that is why, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, one of your main priorities, it should be marketing, customer acquisition, brand awareness, making sure that people know that you exist. And that's the exact reason why you see me publishing 2 videos a day currently on this YouTube channel. It is to grow it, to reach out to more people. And that's why nowadays you see so many businesses being on YouTube or posting short form content on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. It's because it's easy to get lots of views quickly with short form content as opposed to long form content. And so you get lots of brand visibility for your company. So don't be a perfectionist. Don't spend all of your time trying to craft a very pretty website or trying to make the best product in the world, because at the end of the day, it's only the feedback that your customers are going to give you that is actually going to move the needle forward. Like, you should add something in your business or in your course, in your product, in your service when people are literally begging you to do so. Now, something else that you need to understand if you want to be rich is that you need to deprogram yourself from all the BS society and people around you have put inside of your head all your life. You know, a lot of people are going to say that if you want to earn more, you need to work more. And to some degree, that might be true. If you don't do enough, you won't get the results that you want. But like I said, at some point, you will also reach the point where you simply get diminishing returns. So if you do more, you'll get less. So like I said, you really need to find that sweet spot. And honestly, do you seriously think that millionaires or billionaires, they work 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000 more hours than you do? Obviously not. And do you also think that they work 1,000,000 times or 1,000,000,000 times harder than you do? Obviously not. They don't necessarily work harder. When you first get started in business, you'll most likely have to do all of the work yourself, because a lot of people, they don't have that much money to invest, especially if they're low income or middle class, and so they won't be able to hire and to delegate some of the work or all of the work to other people, to experienced contractors, for instance. But honestly, if you are not willing to put in the work, starting a business is simply not for you. It's not made for everybody. Just like the traditional path, which is go to university, get a job, get a mortgage, have 2 weeks of vacations per year, pay taxes, and then die. That path is also not meant for everybody. But at the same time, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, it's a lot harder than it looks. It's not made for everybody. And in fact, it's not made for most people. I mean, the top 1% is called the top 1% for a reason. And truthfully, if it was that easy to obtain, it wouldn't be as extraordinary as we think it is. If when you saw a supercar, it was the norm, you wouldn't really care about it. It's only because a small group of people has access to these things, to luxury, to abundance, that everybody puts them on a pedestal, because they're out of the ordinary. The ordinary just blends in with the rest. So you really want to understand that, while you probably need to do more than you currently are right now. Because let's face it, most people, they don't work that hard. Like, how many times have I seen people just playing cards, playing chess on their computers at work? Very often, believe me. Studies have shown that on the average 8-hour workday, most people only work for 3 to 4 hours. So if you think that you don't have enough time to start a business because you have a full-time job or you go to university, if you have 2 to 4 hours a day, you can get more done than most people do in 8 hours anyway. And that's true if you do deep work. Now, the other thing I want to share with you is something I call the 12-month rule. You see, they say that 9 out of 10 businesses fail. And in fact, it is a true statistic. But in my opinion, sure, there are many reasons why businesses and people fail. However, probably one of the biggest reasons is because people are not able to stick to something for long enough to get the results that they want. To give an example, when I got started in business, I didn't even start with consulting. I tried dropshipping, which honestly is a terrible mistake. As a beginner, you do not want want to do dropshipping. It's a horrible idea. We'll come back to that in a few seconds. But I couldn't stick to anything. So obviously I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. And this is also what we call shiny object syndrome. It's when you're always jumping from one opportunity to the next. In this case, from one business model or one niche to the next. Because you think the other one is better. But one day I had this realization and it seriously blew my mind. And ever since that day, my life has never been the same. Somebody told me, you know, the grass is not always greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. And it really stuck with me because honestly, I had only ever heard the first part of that quote growing up. I had never heard the part where it goes, the grass is greener where you water it. And that made so much sense to me. Honestly, I'll tell you that. I've had many consultations on a one-on-one setting with business owners, either successful business owners making 40k a month or with people who made no money at all. I've seen it all. And usually the people who made no money, they were trying to serve multiple niches, multiple customers, different types of customers at the same time. And that's one of the reasons why they were not successful. Because you can't speak to plumbers the same way that you can speak to realtors. So if you try to disperse your energy in all of those different directions, what kind of results do you honestly think you'll be getting? You need to have focus in life. The only reason why most people don't achieve much in life is because they cannot focus. So what's the 12-month rule? You want to pick one business model, one niche, one product or service, and do your best to sell it, to get customers, to grow your business, and you focus on that one business for 12 months at the bare minimum. And honestly, depending on your starting point, depending on your circumstances, your work ethic, how much time you have to invest in your business, how much money you've got to invest, the road is going to be more difficult for some people than for others. Just let's face it, life is not fair. But you can either decide to complain about it, to be a victim about it, like most people, but I'll tell you that, if you choose that option, your life is never going to change. It's always going to stay the same. Or you can decide to take responsibility and to do whatever the hell it takes to reach your goals. Oftentimes, I don't feel motivated to sit down at this desk and to record videos. And at some point, honestly, I record so many that my throat kinda hurts. But I still do it anyway because I have a deep reason why I'm doing it. And one of my goals, it's not only to, of course, build a better life for myself, but also to help as many of you as I can to do the same. Because it's only because somebody helped me that I'm able to live this sort of life now. So if somebody hadn't helped me, I would have never been where I am today. It's only thanks to others who have taught me the way when it comes to business, fitness, and other aspects of life that I have the results that I have today. And that's exactly why if I can guide other people to achieve that same transformation, then it is one of the reasons why I keep pushing so hard. And then what I found is that when you use the 12-month rule, there is one mental shift that allows you to stick to things much easier. You know, your brain is not made to help you to reach your goals. Your brain is made to help you to survive. There's a big difference. So your brain, it's not long-term oriented. In fact, it is short-term oriented. And that's exactly why it's so much easier to just fall for instant gratification as opposed to delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is so much harder. So it can be tough to start your business and you can get customers very rapidly. That is if you follow the right step-by-step process. I've found that oftentimes I would get business owners and people on meetings with me within the first week of starting to reach out to people. And that was insanely motivating because motivation comes from getting results. A lot of people think that they need to be motivated before they do something. That's not how it works. Sure, you can be driven before you take action, but if you get results from the action that you do, it creates a positive feedback loop and it's a cycle of motivation. The more results you get, the more it motivates you to keep going and again and again. But if you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to stick to this thing for 12 months, and then you know what, if it doesn't work, I've put in all of my effort, I've done my best, I've worked super hard. If after 12 months, I've signed no clients, I've made no money, it's a disaster, then I can quit. And if you tell yourself that, your brain is going to resist the idea of working hard less. Because you'll think, you know what, either way, I have an exit route. I can just quit if it doesn't work. It's a technique used by Navy SEALs. When they're going through things like Hell Week, it's very intense. They're sleep deprived, like I think they sleep 4 hours in 1 week. Just imagine having to do rigorous physical training every day and only sleeping 4 hours in a week. That is insane. And the only way they're able to survive through this, and I've read many books made by Navy SEALs, and all of them had this one thing in common. They would focus on exactly what they're doing right now. They would keep their mind oriented short term. They would think, okay, when I finish this set of this exercise, not, okay, when I finish this week, or what's going to happen tomorrow, because if they did, they would give up instantly. So if you tell yourself, okay, no matter what, I have a safety net, I have an exit route, it's going to be much easier to trick your brain into actually doing the work day after day. And then it turns into a habit and things become much easier. And before you know it, you've signed your first client, and of course the motivation starts to come in, and you don't even need to quit at the end of the year. Now with that said, if you want to start your own online business, but you have no clue what to do, I have recorded a free video in which I analyze every popular business model. We take a look at the pros and the cons, and I'm also going to share with you the 3-step process that you can use to start your own online business today and to start signing your first customers. The link is in the description below. And with that said, as always, I am waiting for you on the other side.